Okay, let's just dive right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are tackling an absolute culinary holy grail, and that is cracking the code on a meal prep salad that actually survives the fridge. We're talking about taking raw ingredients, applying a little bit of clever structural engineering, and leaning heavily into the science of flavor to build a dish that can literally last you an entire work week. If you're into efficient, focused learning that you can actually use in your everyday life, well, you're definitely in the right place. Let's get to it.
Look, we have to start with this undeniable truth. Salads just aren't known for their keeping qualities, right? Especially when they're dressed. I mean, we've all been there. You prep this gorgeous, healthy salad on a Sunday, and by Tuesday lunch, you're staring at a sad, wilted, soggy mess. The dressing basically attacks the cellular structure of the greens, moisture pools at the bottom of the container, and all that hard meal prep work just goes straight into the trash. It's honestly a universal frustration.
And that exact problem sets up the transformation we're looking at today. Your standard salad gets soggy super quickly and basically wilts the second it hits the cold, humid environment of your fridge. But our goal here, the week-long salad, stays perfectly crisp for up to 5 days. And get this, it actually gets tastier over time. It essentially defies the standard laws of salad physics.
So to pull this off, here is our roadmap for The Explainer. First, solving the soggy salad. Second, engineering for maximum crunch. Third, and this is a big one, the science of dressing flavor. And finally, assembling the week-long salad.
All right, let's jump into part 1, solving the soggy salad, focusing on the mechanics of moisture resistance.
Listen, the absolute first step to building a salad that refuses to wilt is throwing out those fragile spring mixes and delicate lettuces. You need a structural base that can really take a beating. That means sturdy greens. Specifically, we're talking 1 bunch of lacinato kale. And make sure you strip out those tough stems before you roughly chop the leaves, along with 1/4 of a small head of thinly sliced green cabbage. These greens are built like absolute tanks, right? Their incredibly dense cellular structure is exactly what allows them to sit in the fridge, fully dressed without instantly breaking down into a puddle.
Moving right along to part 2, engineering for maximum crunch. We need to select ingredients that actually stay crisp. Every single supporting ingredient here serves a highly calculated culinary purpose. We toss in thinly sliced celery and broccoli florets specifically because they do not get soggy when dressed. They hold on to that crunch. Then we mix in a cup of cooked farro. This brings a really beautiful whole grain nuttiness, but it also acts like a sponge for our dressing. Finally, 4 ounces of hard salami cut into half-inch pieces brings a massive hit of savoriness. Oh, and you'll definitely want to add a couple of thinly sliced scallions for a sharp, fresh bite.
Now hold on, we can't just throw raw broccoli in there and call it a day. We need a very specific technique here. Blanching. You just drop those florets into heavily salted boiling water for literally 1 to 2 minutes. Wait until it turns bright, vibrant green, but still has a firm bite. Then immediately scoop it out and plunge it into an ice bath. Why? Because that ice water instantly stops the cooking process in its tracks. It locks in that great color and guarantees the broccoli keeps its crunch instead of turning into mush later on.
Okay, part 3. This is the main event, the science of dressing flavor and creating a stable, high-impact emulsion.
Honestly, this phase is the absolute core of our explainer today. While most standard dressings are just raw ingredients shaken up in a jar, we are taking a heavily scientific approach here. Flavor extraction through heat. In that same saucepan you just used, you're going to combine 1/3 of a cup of rich olive oil with some serious aromatics. We're talking 3 tablespoons of capers, 3 tablespoons of pine nuts, 2 smashed cloves of garlic, and a tablespoon of fennel seeds.
You flip the heat to medium and bring that oil to a simmer. And the magic number here is literally just 2 to 3 minutes. That short window is the exact time frame needed to completely transform these ingredients. You cook them until you see the garlic and pine nuts turn golden and the capers get perfectly crispy. What's happening scientifically is you are blooming the spices and extracting all those fat-soluble flavors directly into the olive oil. Because oil is a vastly superior carrier of flavor compounds compared to water or vinegar, you're essentially building an incredibly potent flavor-infused base.
Next up is the mechanical phase. You pour that warm, deeply aromatic oil mixture straight into a food processor. And to that incredibly rich fat, you're adding your acids and umami, 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar, a tablespoon of whole grain mustard, and a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Processing this is where the actual physical magic happens.
You hit run for about a minute, and what you're looking for is a completely emulsified dressing. This is the process of binding liquids that naturally hate each other, like your infused oil and that vinegar, into a stable, creamy mixture. Left on their own, oil and vinegar will just separate. But by applying sheer mechanical force, along with that whole grain mustard, which actually contains natural compounds that act as a chemical bridge, you force them together into a stable matrix. This means every single bite packs uniform flavor, and crucially, it stops the dressing from separating in the fridge, which is exactly what normally causes greens to wilt. It's a total game changer.
Which brings us to our final step, part 4, assembling the week-long salad, putting the structural base and our highly engineered flavor components together.
The workflow for this is honestly so slick. Step 1. Get your farro simmering. That takes about 20 to 25 minutes. Step 2. While that's going, quickly blanch your broccoli in just a minute or 2. Step 3. Use that empty pan to bloom your aromatics and take 1 minute to emulsify the dressing. And step 4. Just toss it all together with your kale, cabbage, celery, salami, and scallions. And then, the best part. You pour that warm, creamy, ridiculously flavorful dressing right over your bowl of sturdy vegetables and grains. Throw in a half cup of grated Parmesan, 1½ teaspoons of salt, and some black pepper. Toss it until literally every single leaf and grain is perfectly coated. And because we use that emulsification science, the dressing actually clings to the food instead of just running off and pooling at the bottom. Box it up in an airtight container, and it will sit in your fridge for up to 5 days, marinating and actively getting better.
So it kind of leaves you with a pretty fascinating thought, right? We just use sturdy cellular structures, heat extraction, and chemical emulsification to completely conquer the sad, soggy salad. If a dressed salad can actually get tastier sitting in the fridge for 5 days, what other rigid meal prep rules are just waiting to be broken by a little bit of food science? Think about that next time you step into the kitchen. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you on the next one.